Welcome, this is Cheating Tales Stories. Tell me where you're watching from. Have you ever trusted someone's space request, only to find out it was just a cover for something else? Tell me in the comments below. Call me whatever you want. The story's what matters. When my wife, Clarice, sat me down at the kitchen table one evening, I thought it was going to be about bills or our daughter's school project. But instead, she looked me straight in the eye and said, "Eli, I think we need to take a break. Just 2 weeks apart. To test our marriage." At first, I laughed, not because it was funny, but because the idea felt absurd. We weren't dating teenagers. This was a marriage, not a trial run. But she insisted. "It's not about leaving," she said softly. "It's about seeing if we can miss each other enough to fix this." I'll admit, things had been tense between us for months. My work hours had grown longer, she felt neglected, and every conversation seemed to turn into a fight. So after hours of talking, I agreed. The rules were simple. No contact unless it was about our daughter. We'd each stay somewhere else to reset. At the end of 2 weeks, we'd meet and decide our future. She moved in with her sister. I stayed in our home. The first couple of days felt strange. I missed her. I missed the way she hummed in the kitchen while making coffee, the sound of her laughter when she watched her favorite sitcom. I started to think maybe this was a good thing. We'd appreciate each other more after the time apart. On the fourth night, I scrolled through my phone before bed and stumbled upon one of her Instagram stories. It was a picture of her holding a cocktail glass. No big deal, until I noticed the reflection in the bar mirror. A man was sitting next to her, leaning in close. I told myself it could be anyone, a friend, a cousin, even a coworker. I didn't want to overthink. Then came day 5. I was making breakfast when my phone buzzed. A notification: Clarice just posted a new photo. Against my better judgment, I opened it. She was in a park, sunlight in her hair, leaning against a man I'd never seen before. His arm was wrapped tightly around her waist, and their faces were far too close for it to be friendly. The caption read, "Finding my happiness again, cherry blossom." It felt like my stomach dropped through the floor. My hands trembled so badly I nearly dropped the phone. I stared at that image for what felt like hours, trying to convince myself it was innocent. But deep down, I knew. For the next 2 days, I didn't call her. I didn't text. I just shut down. My mind went into overdrive. How long had she known this man? Was he the real reason for the marriage test? Did she already decide our fate before I even agreed? I replayed every argument, every cold shoulder. Every night, she turned in early without a kiss. And slowly, the picture became clearer. This wasn't about healing. This was about replacing me, without feeling like the bad guy. By the end of the week, I had to know the truth. I called her sister, pretending I was checking in about our daughter's homework. Casually, I asked if Clarice was home. There was a pause. Then her sister said, "Oh, she's out with a friend. Probably won't be back until late." The way she hesitated told me she knew exactly who that friend was. On day 8, I decided I couldn't just sit around anymore. I drove to the park from her photo. It was a long shot, but I figured if she liked it enough to post, maybe she went there often. I didn't see her that day, but I did see him, the man from the photo. He was sitting on a bench with a coffee, talking on the phone. I stayed far enough away not to be noticed, but close enough to hear fragments. "Yeah, she's still at her sister's. But we're thinking about taking a trip next weekend." My blood ran cold. He wasn't just some random acquaintance. They were making plans. That night, I started gathering my financial documents, bank statements, mortgage info, insurance papers. Not because I was sure I wanted to end things, but because I knew I had to be ready if I did. I'd read enough stories to know the person who acts first often ends up less hurt legally and financially. On day 12, she finally called me. Her voice was unusually bright. "Hey, I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I really believe this break was good for us. Maybe we can meet on day 14 to talk next steps." I agreed, my voice calm, almost cheerful. But inside, I had already made my decision. Day 14 arrived. We met at a quiet cafe. She wore the necklace I bought her on our anniversary, as if that would make everything feel normal again. She started talking about reconnecting and starting fresh. But I stopped her. "Clarice, who's the guy from your post?" I asked, my tone even. Her eyes widened, then narrowed. "He's just a friend. You're reading too much into it." I slid my phone across the table, the photo open. Friends don't hold each other like this. And they don't make travel plans. During a marriage test, her face drained of color. She stammered, searching for an excuse. But I'd already moved on in my mind. I think you wanted me to be the one to end this, I said quietly, so you wouldn't feel guilty. Well, you've got your wish. I stood, paid for my coffee, and walked out. The divorce process wasn't easy. She tried to frame it as mutual for appearances, but I knew, and she knew, what really happened. Sometimes, the space someone asks for isn't about healing at all. It's about creating room for someone else. If you've ever been in that position, you know the silence hurts more than any argument ever could. If you made it this far, thanks for listening. Subscribe for more true stories like this.